Welcome to the GameMaker FastTrack. So here's the situation. You've got a game with a player and enemies and juicy effects, but now you want to up the ante, make things more complex. And the more you look at your code, the more you realize that it's going to get increasingly difficult to fit everything in. Like, for example, isn't it annoying how bullets hurt every single frame instead of something more reasonable? And despite our juice, enemies don't really feel like they're being affected by shots. You could make a timer for invincibility time and a separate timer for knockback and check those timers at all times, but do we really need to worry about everything all the time? What if we want even more stuff, like reloading or dodging? If we're not careful, it can become a mess of spaghetti code. So, why not simplify? Why not use a state machine? A state machine is a useful code pattern that takes the situations a character can be in and separates them out into convenient states. You can think of it as a flowchart. You have different pieces to land on, and you have specific arrows in and out of those places. There's a lot of ways to make a state machine, but we're going to use a specific method created by the excellent GameMaker community member Mimpy. Just like we used structs to make alarms, we're going to use a struct-based solution for states. This involves making a constructor for the state machine itself, and then a separate one for the states. The state machine has only two methods: swap, which lets you change your current state, and run, which plays the update method of the current state. Each state has three empty methods: create, run, and destroy. Create happens whenever you swap to a state. Destroy happens whenever you swap away from a state. And update happens every step. So, let's start to put our states in order. Really anything can use states, and you can have any number of states for different situations, but we're going to focus on giving our enemies a stunned state in which they can't move and in which they're immune to damage. After you make the state machine, start by making a state normal, and putting everything currently in the enemy's step event into its run method, overriding the default empty method. We currently don't need a create or destroy event for state normal, so you don't have to declare those. Now, before you make state stunned, let's put down some groundwork. Make a new auto alarm called stun timer that swaps you back to state normal, and when you get hurt, swap to state stunned. Then, when you make state stunned, set stun timer in its create method, and in its update method, just run stun timer. That's it. If you play the game, you'll see this makes enemies freeze when hurt for whatever time you specified, and become immune to damage for that time, because you didn't include the code for taking damage in the stun state. You don't need to. Of course, there's a lot more you can do here. You can make it so enemies can be hurt while they're stunned for combos. You can add knockback to force enemies backwards. You can make it so different kinds of shots stun enemies for different amount of times. In fact, on that note, let's do some rebalancing. Make it so enemies have a lot less health. Give shots a stun variable, give normal shots big stun and big damage, and piercing shots less of both. Now it feels like each shot has a kind of niche. If you look at it closely, you'll notice that all these state machines and functions don't really do anything that a bunch of complex if statements couldn't do. But that's the point. If you let complexity in your code build up, eventually you'll be left with a tangle of statements and conditions that are hard to read and slow you down when you're coding. So keep it simple. Compartmentalize. The more you separate things into little packets, the easier it is to add more packets. So next time you'll be learning about controllers, another method of compartmentalizing. See you then!